Good morning. As you can see, I'm not on the boat. I'm at the cake shop. In my last video, I concentrated on doing the carlins for the like a half deck I'm building on the back of the boat. So I've got two projects that I'm concentrating on at the minute. The first one is the deck at the back of the boat. You saw me do the carlins for that last week in the last video. And the second one is, of course, the engine rebuild. Now, I've hit upon a snag with the engine. As you saw in a video, a couple of videos back, I was trying to remove a sheared off bolt, in the process of which I sheared off the bolt removal tool. I spent a few days getting the sheared off tool off. I got a more expensive bolt removal tool that drilled down further into the stuck bolt, and I tried again. Now, already the top of the bolt, where it had been sheared off, was a mess from drilling. And long story short, I sheared off another bolt removal tool. Now they're really high tensile steel, so they're rock hard, but they're brittle, and it's just hard because there's a twisting motion you need to apply to get the bolt off. Now that's why I drilled much further down into the sheared off bolt to get the removal tool right down inside. Predictably, that one snapped, and I've been finding it absolutely impossible to drill it out. So I've got the end of the bolt, which is a mess on top of the head. The middle's drilled down about 1.5 centimeters, and in that space is a sheared off sort of titanium tip of the bolt removal tool, and it's stuck in there. It's not coming out. So I've tried to drill it out, and I can't, because I bought a new hammer drill and I bought new drill bits, but it's just impossible, especially where it's situated on the engine. If I took it out, took the engine apart again, took it to an engineering shop with a drill press, I could drill it out and then I could re-tap the hole. But I really don't want to do that, because it's taken me so long to get to this point in the rebuild. So the other option I have is to weld a bolt, nut on the top of the bolt, and sort of what I'm thinking of doing is getting a bolt right on the top and filling the inside with welding inside of it, so it sort of becomes one with the bolt. Now at the moment I've only got a TIG welder, and I'm crap at TIG welding, and it's really hard. It's a really small area I need to just put a little bead in, and I'm not sort of I'm not skillful enough at all with the TIG to do it. So what I think I might have to do is buy a cheap MIG welder for about £100, and from what I can gather, it's a lot easier to MIG weld than TIG weld, because it's just, and the problem I'm having is getting into the little space, and it's the stick sticking on the metal, and it's a mess. I mean, I'm thinking with the MIG welder I can just squirt a little bit of weld in it, and that'll attach to the bolt, and then I'll be able to take it off. It's the plan. And if that doesn't work, then I'm really starting to struggle to see how I'm going to get it off. And until I get that bolt out, I cannot rebuild that engine. So the worst case scenario is I'd have to take apart the engine again, take it somewhere and get that bolt drilled out, and I really do not want to do that. So that's the situation there. Now in the meantime, I'm going to try and carry on with building this aft deck, because it's too depressing to think about the engine. Because if I can't get this bolt out and I can't drill it out somehow, then that head is fucked, and I'm going to have to buy a new one, which is several £100 just for the head. And I don't know if I'd have to put new liners in, and I'd have to buy a new gasket set. So basically, it's, if I can't get that bolt out, the engine is fucked, because it costs more to repair it than the thing's worth. So if I can't get this bolt out in the next month, I think I'm going to have to seriously start thinking about replacing the engine, which I've spent 1.5 years rebuilding this engine on weekends when I can manage to get down. I really, really do not want to have to abandon it. But if I can't get this bolt out, I'm flogging a dead horse, and I'm never going to get this boat moving. So what I'm thinking of is, if I can't do it, I'm going to buy a 4-cylinder diesel or petrol engine to put in the boat. It's a 6-cylinder at the minute, but it's a very old engine. So I'm thinking maybe a 4-cylinder modern engine might be as good as a 60-year-old 6-cylinder engine. We'll see. But even then, a second-hand one is going to cost me upwards of £1,000 to £2,000, and I simply do not have that money. So the option is get the bolt out, or abandon the engine, rip it out completely, spend the next year rebuilding the inside of the boat, kitting it out, getting it painted, getting it all nice, and then over that time saving up enough money to buy a brand new engine and putting the engine in a year's time. So now I really don't want to do that. I spent so long on this engine, building it up, that the thought of giving up and just chucking it out or selling it for scrap is heartbreaking. So, but also I've got to face reality. If I ever want to get this frigging boat out of the marina, it needs an engine. I can't just buy a fancy engine. I've got to think about this. Anyway, that's the state of play. So I'm gonna, until that resolves itself, I'm gonna just spend a little time working on the aft deck, because that's a job I can do. It's more relaxing, and I don't have to worry about this clusterfuck. Anyway.